Hey buddies, Mr. Puggy here, coming at you with another build video for Wonderlands. Today, this is the updated Chaos level 20 build for my Brrzerker Spore Warden setup that uses the Blizzard action skill. Keep in mind, this build does not use any glitches or exploits. Now, you should have saw at the beginning of the video, me killing all 4 raid bosses really quick, so you just know how powerful this build is. But now's the time to actually show what the build actually has. It's very similar to what I had on my previous version of this build, but with just a few slight changes. But before we get into the meat and potatoes of the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on Twitch on the top right. We've been streaming 5+ hours every single day, and the raid boss footage was from my recent stream, so make sure to follow me on the top right if you're looking for Twitch content for Wonderlands, and let's get into it.
Legendary? Whoa! No way, dude!
So first things first, I would like to show you my skill tree because I did make some changes. Now, when I show you this, you might think that this is no longer Infinite Blizzard, but I'm still going to consider it Infinite Blizzard because we still have our trusty Goblin Pickaxe. Our Goblin Pickaxe makes us have lots and lots of action skill cooldown, not only from the on-hit effect, but also whenever we collect gold. So we're going to be able to conjure up our blizzards all the time. But as you can see right here, I actually went down to play the angles. Not because play the angles is the reason why the build deals damage. Play the angles is not why the build is dealing damage. There is no nearby enemies when I was dealing the bulk of the damage to those raid bosses, so it is not play the angles at all. Do not think that play the angles is the reason why this build is good. It's still Blizzard doing most of the work. The reason why we went down to all the way to play the angles is because I realized that most of our damage is when the Blizzard actually touches a target, thus proccing Wrath of Nature. You know how I told you that you need to have as much Wrath of Nature as possible on your class mod to deal as much damage as possible to the build? And that is still the case. So I thought, why not double down on Wrath of Nature and go down the Spore Warden tree? I know this sounds so obvious, but going down the Spore Warden tree literally allowed us to double or triple our total damage because our damage is astronomical now. A lot better than it was before. But let's do a quick rundown. I'm not going to do 100% in-depth explanation on every single skill tree point. I will briefly explain each one, just in case you didn't see my last version. So we have Ancestral Frost to deal as much frost damage as possible to combo with our Rage of the Ancients class feat, which is Berserkers, to increase the total's bonus frost damage, as well as some gear choices we have. Next, we have the Icebreaker, which increases the damage as we get enemies slowly closer to Frozen. I did not get Frost Efficiency because it is not worth it. I explained on the previous version. I have the Old Ways because the closer we get, the more damage we deal, and just like Personal Space in Borderlands 3, it deals good damage even when you're far away, so it's worth to get no matter what. We have 2 points in Instinct, 2 points in the Ancient Fury to increase our area damage as much as possible, and our maximum HP for a tiny bit of survivability, and Relentless Rage to allow our Save Our Souls meter to be restored, so our Mushroom can either restore us, or we have a higher chance of getting back. And we get Enrage, allowing us to get our class feat bonus and Instinct to get faster reloads and everything like that. Now you might be wondering why I'm no longer doing Blood Fury. I realized that the Enrage lasts 15 seconds in total, and that is a long time. Even though 15 seconds usually doesn't feel like that long in Borderlands games, it feels ridiculously long in this one for some reason. So I don't feel like Blood Fury is worth it. And as you know from the last video, I was using Sacrificial Skeep to allow us to health gate indefinitely for 10 seconds straight. So Blood Fury isn't really doing much for our build anymore. So I use those points elsewhere to deal more damage. damage. I'm no longer using Bounty of Hunt because we're able to get most of our Blizzard back from just using our pickaxe, so I see no reason to use Bounty of Hunt. It's only 1 point because we have an armor set that increases it to 1 point. We have 5 points in Eagle Eye to increase our total damage output by 20% with guns, which is the bulk of the damage when bossing. Next, we have Affinity to allow our Blizzards to deal good damage, and as well as increasing the damage of our Play the Angles. We have 4 points in the Bullseye, mainly to get further down the tree. I don't feel like Bullseye is that great of a perk, but it allows us to get further down the tree, and the other perks aren't worth it in my opinion. So that's mostly filler, but it does help us a tiny bit. Next, we have 3 points into Quiver Holding. Once again, same situation as Bullseye. I feel like it doesn't help us that much, but it allows us to get further down the tree, and having more magazine size is usually better. Being able to shoot longer, and ammo regeneration, it's not that much, but it does help sometimes in certain situations, so it's nice. I got the Revive pet ability, so the pet can revive us in case we ever need that. I don't think the taunt is worth it, as you guys know from my last version of this build. 3 points in the Rin Rudder to increase our fire rate as much as possible, and our movement speed in case we need to get out of dodge. Armor set also gives us Iron Squall, so we have increased melee speed and fire rate as well. Next, we have Max Out Wrath of Nature, which is what makes this build deal so much damage. And then we have Headhunter to increase our total damage whenever we hit critical hit areas. And that's pretty much the tree. Now let's go over to the items. So I was very blessed today when I was streaming to get the volatile liquid cooling. The first liquid cooling I've ever gotten was a volatile. That's insane. If you guys don't know, volatile is the highest sub rarity you can get at the current moment, and it just takes our build to the next level because it is a guaranteed cryo item. And if you want to know how to get this item, I should have a guide on the top right posted later today. But this item is insane. It deals lots and lots of damage, and it's cryo, so it's perfect for our build because we want to deal as much cryo damage as possible. Now, every single time we activate our action skill, we get a total damage increase of 20%, so that is excellent. We have that to increase our total damage. The other 3 weapons aren't really that important, but we are using the Nightshade with while action skill is active to increase our elemental damage. We're looking to keep our active skill up as much as possible, so that's very, very useful. I use this as a secondary tool to kill enemies, and it's very, very good when comboing it with the Buffmeister, but primarily I mainly use liquid cooling. This was the weapon I used to kill all those raid bosses so quickly. Next, we have the Goblin Pickaxe with action skill start, increase our gun damage. We're looking to activate our action skill as much as possible and as quickly as possible, so action skill start is the name of the game, as you'll see. So this increases our gun damage by 40% and allows us to get our action skill back very quickly. I don't have ideal rings yet, but currently I have a 15% gun damage with pistol critical hit damage to allow our liquid cooling to deal as much damage as possible, as well as having our ability, our Blizzard, to deal crits occasionally, which does help with damage. Next, we have a class ring, which just means every time our action skill is cooled down, aka not up, we get these bonus effects up to 50%, which allows our gun damage to go even higher when Blizzard's gone, so we have a way to deal some damage when Blizzard isn't even out there, and as well as SMG critical hit damage to make our Nightshade deal more damage. The action skill duration, of course, doesn't get boosted while the Blizzard's actually up. It's only when the Blizzard's gone, so it's unfortunately not getting that 50%, but it does allow our Blizzard to stay up longer. Next, we have a purple class mod with all damage dealt, and the other 2 are negligible, but I'll stay it anyways. We have spell critical chance and ward regeneration rate. But the important part is 3 Wrath of Nature. Basically, if you're doing this build, find a class mod with as many Wrath of Natures as possible and just go burr. It's easy. That's all you need. Additionally, I would like to have 2 Iron Squalls, but I have 1 Iron Squall and 1 Bounty of the Hunt. Next, we have Sacrificial Skeep. If you guys want to know how to get this item, I'll link it on the top right. But this is a god tier amulet. It allows you to basically just keep your HP above health gate thresholds all the time, which is super, super convenient. So it allows you to get 10 seconds of pure health gating if you're getting damage constantly, which allows you to just never die, which is awesome. And this can only occur every 30 seconds, but those 30 seconds go quick because I see it spawning all the freaking time. And then next we have a Buffmeister. The Buffmeister is cryo, allowing us to deal as much damage as possible with cryo because we're fully invested into cryo. So we're dealing as much damage as possible with the Buffmeister. And I forgot to mention, the Sacrificial Skeep I have has frost damage and Spore Warden power to increase our frost damage, obviously, our blizzard damage, as well as play the angles, but the play of the angles is not that important on this build. And then finally, the Buffmeister is every single time we spell cast, we're going to get increased gun damage by 30%, which is excellent. You probably don't need much introduction on what the Buffmeister does. It just gives you extra damage, which is very, very convenient. And then finally, we have the Body Ruin, which is a legendary shield that's able to drop from the Keeper of the Abyss raid boss, the big fish looking thing. And this has the effect of while action skills active, increase frost damage by 50%, which is all the time because we're getting our blizzards out there as often as possible to increase our frost damage even further, increasing our damage with Blizzard, increasing our gun damage, increasing our Buffmeister damage. Basically, we're just going all chips in on frost damage, and it works very, very well. And every single time we kill an enemy, we restore some of the HP, but that's not the important part. We get an additional 20% bonus fire damage. Doesn't seem like a lot, but it allows our Blizzards to deal fire damage and allows us to deal bonus fire damage, which deals us surprisingly a lot of damage. Now, this is my mobbing shield of choice, but if I'm not mobbing, I like to go with the Cursed Wit when bossing, because when our shield is depleted, which is very often when bossing, we get an additional up to 100% increased damage dealt when we are close to enemies, which will be all the time, because we're looking to try to get up close and personal all the time, because the old ways increases our damage when we get close. So this is just a free damage increase. Now, there's a common misconception with the Cursed Witch shield. Some people think that you gain instantly 100% increased damage when you're near the enemies. It actually scales from 0 to 100 based on your distance. So if you're right next to the face, you get 100% increased damage. If you're a little bit farther away, you're probably only going to get 50%. So keep that in mind. Try to get up close and personal as possible if the boss allows you to. But we also have action skill active to increase your frost damage by 50%. Now, I already showed you how the build performs with raid bosses, but let me show you how the build performs on a regular chaos level 20 run. But before I do that, I don't want to forget to show you my hero points. We have max out strength, max out wisdom, because we're dealing cryo damage, so we want to apply status dots, as well as the body ruin applying the fire dots, so we're getting a bunch of dot damage on the enemies. And then finally, a little bit of points into attunement to get our Blizzard back as quick as possible. Here's my myth ranks. I'm only myth rank 134, but I made sure to max out strength. If you are doing myth ranks, make sure to do this ASAP, because it increases your DPS by a ton. And finally, let's go into the chamber. So just like the last build, basically what we want to do is make sure we have our Blizzards up, and then we start dealing good damage. So this guy is blocking all our shots, but all the damage that is hitting them is dealing lots of damage. So you saw there, I'm able to pretty much just 2 to 3 shot these people. If you don't have a liquid cooling on this build, make sure to get it ASAP, because it just makes your damage go up to 11. As you see here, my Blizzard's gone. I don't have Berserker Capstone to get it back quicker, but I still have the Goblin Pickaxe, so I'm just going to melee this guy a couple times. Look on the bottom right, I get my action skill back super quickly, so I don't have to worry about it. Next, let's talk about the Nightshade that I briefly covered. I'm going to show you the damage that you can get with the Nightshade. I'm going to activate the Blizzard. I'm going to deal some damage. Once again, this purple SMG is insane. If you don't have it, make sure to try to get it. It's always going to be the cryo variant that's best, no matter what your build. Even if your build doesn't do lots of frost damage, the cryo Nightshade deals so much damage, and it pairs extremely well with the Buffmeister, as I'll activate right here, and you'll see that guy will just get melted in just a few moments when he gets back up from the ground. There we go. So it deals tons and tons of damage, but primarily we use the liquid cooling. Even when Blizzard's not up, we deal good damage. So I'm going to start hitting this ward or quartz, and then this badass is done for even when Blizzard isn't up. So most of your damage is up there when you actually activate your Blizzard, but you're still able to deal lots of damage even when Blizzard isn't up there. But you do want to try to make sure you have Blizzard up there as much as possible. Now let's do another area real quick. I'm going to hit this quartz with my Blizzard. I'm not even going to activate Buffmeister, and you'll see how quickly this guy gets downed as well. If I activated Buffmeister, he'd get down even faster than that. But as you see here, this build is just insane. Keep in mind, play the angles is not the reason why this build is dealing this damage. It's the Blizzard that is making it deal this much damage, and Wrath of Nature procking. Of course, play the angles does proc Wrath of Nature, which is very convenient, but the bulk of our damage is mainly when Blizzard is out. So this is still a strictly Blizzard build. So since our Blizzard's down, I'm going to start meleeing this guy as much as possible so we can get our Blizzard back up. And now that it's back up, we're going to be dealing lots of damage once again. Very, very easy. If you guys haven't tried this build out, please try it. It's chaos level 20. It's very, very easy to deal lots of damage with this build. Do not downplay Blizzard builds, because they are strong, guys. They are very strong. As you see here, chaos level 20, and I am able to one-shot most enemies and kill most enemies very, very easily. And as always, a big shout out to the members who make these videos possible. We have Jason Noodles, Clairvoyant, Rick Iglesias, Super Noob, and Josh Dig. These are the people who support me as little as $5 a month, and you can also support me as little as $5 a month by clicking the link in the comment description or on the top right to become a member. The more members we have, the closer I get to becoming full-time, which means more videos for you guys. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye-bye.
And the last shall be first to immerse in a pass out heat, facing him up with a moxie melt till he woke up drowning in tchotchke hell. War in a cave with a torch on a wall, then a window arrangement of porcelain dolls.